Bum 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 ba bum. Bum 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 ba bum. Bum ba ba bum 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 ba ba bum 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 ba ba bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Can't it's a big bum bum. Can if you want. It's only 1:37. I'm already live. Just so you know. Doop doo 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 doo. Three, two.
Hey everybody, Kent Martz here. Welcome to Friday. Hope your Friday's going as great as mine has been going.
David Samard heard me singing the old tune.
They heard us whistling.
That and the old tune. I was bum 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 bum.
Yes.
Yes.
How about that? We were really, really live. Thank goodness we didn't speak in other languages. So, welcome to today's episode of warm-up broadcast from Amazon Live. We're going to be talking about focus on astrophotography.
Focus.
And look at that. I'm wearing the same shirt. Maybe. No, that was a darker gray shirt I was wearing when I took this picture.
Am I allowed to talk?
Periodically. But we have to have a vote of the people. What you got, Paul?
What?
Well, yes, if you're allowed to talk. I figured you
Well,
had something.
I was banned for like a month.
Well, yeah, don't get yourself banned again.
I didn't do anything to get banned.
Oh, no.
I just annoyed you. That's all.
You just went manic on everybody, brother.
I was having a problem.
I'm not talking about it. So
I don't care. I'm open, man.
you can
wanna
talk
go-
about
you
it, but
want Paul to
I'm
tell
not.
you exactly everything. He doesn't. He doesn't
So,
care.
We've been on for a whole 3 minutes and 33 seconds and haven't done much. Actually, we've
It's
only been on.
okay.
Yeah, it's okay. So we're going to be talking about astrophotography.
Do you want to give them a link where they can call in?
Why?
Why? Well, so they can talk to you live.
We can discuss that.
Yeah, because I can do that. As long as they have a computer, they can call in and they can just talk to you.
We might try that sometime on one of the broadcasts. A little advance warning. Tomorrow we're going to try it and
Not
see
tomorrow.
what happens. Well, yeah, tomorrow, next week, tomorrow, not tomorrow, today, tomorrow.
I'm replacing my clutch on Sunday, so there's nothing happening.
You might want to
that
start
day.
on Saturday, so if you finish it up on Sunday if you need to. Otherwise,
I got somebody helping me, so it'll be fine.
okay, otherwise you're going to have to use the Hill to Tow Express or the Rob's pickup truck, one or the other, to get here.
I'll do the call Kent. Yeah, call Kent.
Yeah, I can do that. You can call me all you want. See what happens. I'd come get you, Paul.
Thanks, Kent.
Yep.
I'm so.
In fact, I would
warm
get up
inside.
about 6 and come get you about 6:45. So you would be excited about that. Getting up early and getting to work and ready to
What
go.
is UAP? UAP Healings. What is that?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Somebody left a comment, and I don't understand it.
I don't see any comments.
Well, give me a second.
1001.
Yes.
1002.
I got to turn all the comments on. I have to go in and do it.
1003.
I think we just roll straight into Amazon today and just forget it.
We can, honestly, whatever. So, notice there's a new background up.
We just leave everybody on.
Did you notice that? We have a new background up because we're doing a show with a company that can't have any logos at all, so we had to get a wordless background up. The Explore Scientific background that's there is there. You just can't see it because the other one's hung in front of it. So we're going to leave that up probably through at least Monday, maybe back to normal Monday evening. Don't know.
Here's the comment. I don't understand.
How do you feel about the UAP healing? Do you think they will come clean?
I have no idea what that means.
Yep, don't know.
I don't have any clue.
UAP healings. I don't think that. I've got no idea. Nope.
Yeah.
But Aaron, tech music dude. Don't know. Don't know the reference there. Sorry.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it and I don't get it, my microphone.
So David Samard
pack just fell off.
Said that he needs a hearing aid now.
You ruined his ears?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, David. I'd love to sell you an Explore Scientific branded hearing aid, but we don't have those. So
we have Explore Scientific branded seeing aids.
We do indeed have Explore Scientific branded seeing aids. In fact, we have some Explore Scientific branded astrophotography seeing aids. There's a segue. So you want to get into astrophotography, here's how you do it. If you've got a DSLR, doesn't have to be a new one, it can be an old 10-year-old camera like this one, 8-year-old camera, 15-year-old camera, whatever. If it's digital, you've got an easy way to start because you get really quick feedback courtesy of that little screen right there. You can check your image and see what happens. Whereas with a film camera, you got to develop it yourself or send it off, and now there's not even any one-hour photo labs in a lot of places, so you get no feedback for a while. The beautiful thing about digital photography is that feedback right there. What are you doing?
Trying to fix the switch. It's being disruptive.
Is that you making me fade in and out?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It wouldn't work.
I don't know. I didn't do it.
This stuff's complicated, and I'm trying to do everything by myself.
Well, that's because you're good at it, so there you go. All right, back to the subject at hand.
There's
astrophotography.
Like 12 people at a live TV station.
If you've got this in the TV station, there you go. If
it is. We're going 24 hours a day very shortly, probably mid next week.
That's true. We're going to be going 24 hours a day. Yep. We have a cool little device we can program to keep running our programming 24 hours a day. And then when we go live, we just break in with live TV right here in the middle of the looping broadcast. So our message is getting out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Paul's been having fun playing with that new gadget.
Yeah, it's not called fun. It's called I want to kill people.
Yeah, but you like it a lot.
If it works.
It works. Your testing showed it worked. Yeah.
Well, not yet. Getting there.
Getting there. So, you have a DSLR. You want to do astrophotography. You can do it real simply. If you have a tripod, simply point the camera to the sky, set the ISO to say 1600, set your aperture to f5.6, take a 1 minute exposure, look at it and see what happened, and go from there. But if you want to up your game from that and get into a mount that tracks, the IXOS 100 is the package you want to get.
There's a question on here for you.
Okay, this is on sale right now through our dealers and on explorescientific.com. That is on sale. It comes with the Exos 100 mount, a battery pack, and an azimuth adjuster plate for the same price as that. That's a $250 savings through the end of June. So you can pick up the Exos 100 and $250 worth of additional kit, all for the price of the EXOS 100. That is a great deal. We've been selling a ton of them. Okay, question is Skywatcher the same company as Celestron? No, they are not, to my understanding. Now, there may be a familial relationship between ownership, but they are, I believe, separate companies, but that's not my realm in which to speak of authoritatively. I can talk about Explore Scientific.
Correct.
Yep. Backdrop looks great from Marcus Jansowitz. There we go. Jansowitz. Hope I get it right. I butchered it probably all times I did that. But yeah, it looks good. It's I'm so used to seeing the other background, it's sort of distracting to see it and wonder what's going on with Paul's graphics, and then realize, no, it's the background we hung up a while ago. So
yep.
There we go. So you get an Exos 100. You spent the money on it. You got the azimuth adjuster. What does the azimuth adjuster do? It allows you to make very precise movements left and right to assist in your polar alignment. I can polar align with a compass real simply. I don't think we're going to show that right now. We may during the Amazon live broadcast, but we won't show it right now. How to use a compass and a straight edge, in this case, in the video case, a broom stick to get a really good, decent starting polar alignment and improve from there. So I've got the battery pack right here. I'm going to turn it on, and it's not got a lot of charge, but we'll see how it goes for the show. I'm going to connect up to it. We'll show you how this works real quick. It's controlled wirelessly with an Android or iPad tablet, Android tablet or iPad tablet. Marcus, thank you for that kindness. Close enough. The tablet
Story of my life
has to have a screen of at least 7 inches, Android or iPad. It will not currently work on an iPhone or Android phone. We are working mightily on that in the home stretch of getting that done. We've been saying that for a while. Some staff changes, and just it's difficult. The final little pieces are difficult at bringing that project home. We're going to get there. So it also runs on a Windows desktop, Windows laptop, or a tablet, and the tablet has to have a screen of at least 7 inches using an app named Explore Stars. And if you're interested in it, you can download the app right now if you have a tablet and can start playing with it and learn how it works, so that when it comes time to do get your mount and get going, you've already got the programming, the control mechanism figured out. What time is it, Paul?
50.
Thank you, sir. I am going to go to the Wi-Fi on the tablet, and I'm going to see PMC8, and in this case it says -6358. That's the mount number. That's the name of this mount. So no other mount of Exos 100 has that mount name. So I'm going to tap on it, and we are now getting a green flashing light. I know we're connected. I'm going to close it. I'm going to double tap to make sure we're not running the Explore Stars in the background. We're not. And so here I can prove it's moving. And there it goes. You can see it turning right there in front of our eyes. So it's a simple go-to mount. That's all there is to it. I'm going to go ahead and park it real quick. I could have done this ahead of time, but didn't do it. Wanted to show you that it's working. So there we go. It's going to go back to where it came from. Now, this mount has micro stepper motors. Those micro stepper motors are very precise in the counts they have. We have a question coming in. I own 200p/1000. To what Celestron do I compare that? Because I love the new 8-inch Dobsonian Celestron that just came out. Aaron, I can't really answer that question. That's a Celestron product, and again, we're Explore Scientific. An 8-inch Dobsonian Celestron, a 200. I don't know what a 200p/1000 is. It sounds like a refractor of some sort.
He's got a correction.
Oh, correction coming in. We need to have one of those Morse code things to show a new message. Oh, sorry, Skywatcher 200p/1000. That's going to be a refractor of some sort with a 1000 millimeter focal length. You know, it's hard to compare. It's not hard to compare. I'll compare refractors with Dobsonians. Refractors have good high contrast, which makes them better for some things. Newtonians or Dobsonian telescopes. Daniel Sanchez, greetings from Kuwait. Hello, Daniel. I hope things are going well in Kuwait, and can't wait for you to get back in the States.
So
or
the question
in this case,
I have
Puerto
for
Rico.
Aaron, or Aaron, or whatever,
I'm going with Aaron.
Tech music dude, is do you have an Explore Scientific telescope now? Have you ever experienced one?
So, you know, refractors offer higher contrast over Dobsonians and Newtonians because of the secondary obstruction that holds the secondary mirror in place. So you've got a much larger aperture bringing a whole lot more light, but you have this central obstruction that reduces the contrast inside. I have some friends that do really great astrophotography with all sorts of different Newtonian and Newtonian telescopes. All of them have them on a equatorial mount. There are people out there who do astrophotography with a push-to Dob and do amazing work with them. They take multiple short exposures, stack them up, and get astounding work. Ooh, my bad. Skywatcher, this is from Aaron. Skywatcher, and I'm so sorry. I thought you guys are Celestron. Still awesome live, though. Hey, Aaron, that's okay. You know, if somebody's got a telescope, I want them to figure out how to use it, and I'll help you do that. Because more people using their telescopes means more people in the hobby and more advocates for what we do, more potential dark sky advocates, more potential people to go out and do public outreach, which I personally love to do. I have a Celestron telescope. I've had one for, 18, 19, 20 years now. Been a while. I've got a Skywatcher telescope. I've got a few other brands as well. I've worked at Explore Scientific for, golly, almost 5 years now. It'll be 5 years in September. That's hard to believe.
I've only had 3. Were you here 2 years before me?
Yeah. That's hard to believe. I've been here almost 5 years. Crazy. Love every minute of it. Great place to work. And I get to talk about astronomy. I mean, gee whiz. I've got a jobby. I've got a hobby that's my job. And I can't, believe how lucky I am to be in that position. A lot of people don't. I have coming to work every day. All right, Aaron says, I have a Skywatcher Virtuoso GTI Maxitov Go-To 127 1500 Dobsonian and reflector Skywatcher 200p on an EQ5 Go-To computerized mount, I presume he's going to say. That's fantastic. Get out and use it. And, we love to see people's work, whether it's with our gear or not.
The eyepieces that we make in any of those, right?
Oh, absolutely. The eyepieces we have, the waterproof eyepiece series that we have are fantastic. Will work on any telescope as long as they're 1 1/4 or 2 inch diagonal, or within a 2 inch with an 1 1/4 diagonal. Our eyepieces will work. Waterproof, argon purged to keep the moisture out from inside. You can actually dunk them in water and wash them off that way. So,
and he's continuing on. He says and the Bresser 150-750.
F5 Go-To reflector. That 150-750 is going to be the single arm piece, I believe. It's got a round base with an arm that comes up, and the telescope is attached to it.
We are
that way.
We are also Bresser.
That is correct. We are also Bresser. So, hooking the camera up. You've got DSLR. You buy the IXOS 100 here this weekend before the sale goes off. Aaron says I'm still learning big time. Aaron, my advice to you is pick one telescope and learn how to use it. And I've seen people go through this. They try to fix not knowing things by just buying something else. All of those telescopes that you listed are great telescopes. Each one, like hammers, hammers are designed for different jobs. There's tack hammers, There's roofing hammers, there's framing hammers, there's sledgehammers, there's pile drivers. Each one is jackhammers. Each one is a different tool. Now, I personally have driven nails with a pipe wrench. It can be done, but it's better to use a pipe wrench to wrench pipes than to drive nails. But if that's all you got, you try and figure out how to make it work. So pick the one telescope you know the most about, and then go start using it. Whether it's shooting galaxies or nebula season, or you like to shoot double stars, whatever, go out and start doing it and practice your craft and try one telescope. Okay. Nope, it's a tripod mount. Okay. So go out, and I can see it back there in the back right now in your picture. Looks like there's a Skywatcher 6 or 8 inch Newtonian back there. Ramesh Bahari, I wish I could use my mobile phone with my Exos 2 GTPM8 in order to precisely see my scope. When I am starlining my mount, it's very hard to do with a laptop. We understand, and you know, when the system was designed, Ramesh, everybody had laptops and phones had not exploded like they have in the past 5 years. We didn't see that coming, and we have been working on the phone app for a while. It is harder than you think it would be, because there's all sorts of different interfaces you have to patch over. I think I'm not going to set a time. Every time I set a time, I'm wrong. I think, by fall we'll have a app out for Android and iPhones, and because that's going to, frankly, the market will broaden because more and more people don't have tablets anymore, and you can go buy a fairly inexpensive Android tablet. You need to get one that runs at least, I think it was KitKat, but the Android download used to be sort of complicated. It's not now. It's a single download. You just download it, it installs, and goes from there. So he said.
So we're gonna bump out for a second and come right back in as Amazon Live starts.
All right. So we're gonna be right back. We're gonna go to some dead air for just a minute, and we'll be back.
No, it's just gonna it's gonna go back to the intros and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's not gonna be dead air.
Oh well, you don't get to able to see my ugly face.
Ha ha. Don't say we're back.
Hi everybody, Kent Martz here. Got surprised wiping my old mustache to get it all straightened up, and Paul stuck his hand up and pulled it down. He's like, "Oh!" Hand on the face.
Brimley.
Wilford Brimley, as he likes to call me, eat twigs and sticks and pine cones.
Diabetes.
So if y'all are too young or to know that, Google Wilford Brimley and sticks and twigs.
I get Chris Farley and Brian Dennehy and what's that other guy? Meatloaf.
Oh,
I get those three constantly.
Meatloaf was a big man. Anyway,
not in the end.
No, he got his weight under control at the end, but boy, could that man sing. I'll tell you what. Paradise by the Dashboard Lights.
I can't do his stuff. I used to be a traveling musician, and I can't do his stuff because my voice is too low.
Yeah, well, you could take it down an octave, and it'd sound weird, but you can do it.
2 octaves.
So anyway, welcome to Amazon Live. It's Friday. Thank you for joining us here on Amazon Live. We're going to have a fun time talking about astrophotography and how you get started. So the easiest way, if you've got a digital camera, single lens reflex camera, you're ready to start doing astrophotography. because all you got to do is have a tripod, point it up at the sky, and start taking pictures. Do wide field astrophotography. Late in the evening, the Milky Way is starting to rise. You can shoot the Milky Way, and you might be surprised what you can see with the camera. From where you might not be able to see it visually, the camera might be able to see it. So you point the camera to the south with the horizon in the bottom of the image and as much sky as you can get going up. Turn the camera vertically, like that, not like that, but vertically, and go to shooting. Set your ISO on 1600, your f-stop at f5, 6, or f4. Set the exposure for 1 minute and see what happens. You might be surprised. The beautiful part about it is you can look at the back of the camera instantly as soon as the picture's over and determine if you got anything or not. And if the sky's all bright white and nothing, then cut it back, change one variable, lower the shutter speed down to, say, 45 seconds. And you might have to use a cable release, an intervalometer, or just use the if your camera will go to that setting, use 45 seconds, play with it and see what happens, and then you can join the realm of stacking images through stacking programs you can download as well. But I want to tell you how you can do astrophotography and up your game a little bit more using a digital single lens reflex camera like this Canon 5D. It's probably, what, an 8-year-old camera, Paul? Something like that?
Something like that.
You know, when it came out, it was state-of-the-art, but it's not state-of-the-art anymore. But I can use this camera on a mount like the IEXOS 100 from Explore Scientific.
I mean, it's a good stills camera.
Sir?
It's a good stills camera.
It's still a good camera, good stills camera. And it mounts on the IEXOS 100 is a go-to tracker, so it will track across the sky. It also has go-to capabilities that are robust. Let's talk about the mount before I show you how to put the camera on it. The mount has digital stepper motors that controls the two axes, the right ascension, which is around and around this way, right? That's right ascension. That's the axis that mimics the rotational axis of the Earth. And what makes this mount work is if you get this lined up with the north celestial pole or the south celestial pole, now you're going to be able to track really well. It'll follow things across the sky. The other rotational axis is known as declination. It is this axis right here that turns like this. That's declination. And that's how you track things across the sky. Now, if you've got a good polar alignment, the right ascension axis will be the only one that turns. If you don't, you're going to have it in what's called point mode on the app that runs this, where both axes are running. That will impact the quality of your astrophotography, but it's a good way to get started. So, digital stepper motors inside. Those digital stepper motors are controlled by the app through a circuit board in here. This sends out a Wi-Fi signal, just like your home router does, and you hook the tablet up to it and control it that way. So, the brains of the operation know exactly where every object is in the sky. If you got your location, longitude, and latitude set right, your time's right, which it pulls off the tablet, so it's almost always going to be right, and knows that this is perfectly perpendicular to ground, and your telescope is pointing at Polaris, and you've got a good polar alignment. So those are the things you need, and here's how you hook the camera up to it. Real simple. We sell the digital single DSLR camera adapter, and it simply hooks onto the bottom of your telescope, or your, in this case,
you want me to play Mike?
Nah, don't play Mike.
Oh, what's wrong with Mike?
What video you have of Mike?
Where he's talking about the release of it.
Talking about the what?
The release of that.
Sure, go ahead.
Piece. Where'd it go? I had it 2 seconds ago. It has now disappeared. Yay.
Well, then let's talk about it. So we're going to just screw it in the bottom in the 1/4 to 20 hole. That's a standard tripod thread across the world. We're just going to screw it in. There's a different standard in Europe, but we're not going to talk about that. The screw has a handy bucket bail, so you can flip it up and tighten it down. My fat fingers struggle to get down in there because, it's a tiny little hole, and that's the way it goes. I let go of the bail, but you just keep after it, and we get it good and tight. So there we go, starting to get it tight. I'm going to turn it a little bit sideways, get it as tight as I can, and now I'm going to turn it, which might tighten a little bit more. And it has a little slot in it so that you can simply use a screw or a coin to tighten it down. Now I know that it's going to balance about right there, right? So I'm going to tighten down both safety screws. Now I want to talk a little bit. You've got a digital single lens reflex camera. If you have a zoom lens and you zoom out all the way, you need to use a piece of gaffer's tape or painter's tape to tape the control on the zoom, because otherwise this lens is loose enough over the period of time, it will slowly slide back in to its wide angle view. So
all lenses do this too.
Yeah, all lenses will do it. Some are tight, brand new ones may not, but they're going to eventually do it. And so you need to tape this down, whatever zoom point you want after you frame your shot, because you want to tape it down. The same for the focus. When you get your focus where you want it, you need to tape down that focus, because you don't want to inadvertently be doing something and change your focus and shoot for 3 hours that way. You'll be a little bit mad. So I've got my mount. I've got it polar aligned. I've done that easy enough. I've got two easy ways I do this. If it's already dark, the polar tunnel is right here. There's a little tunnel that goes all the way through the polar axis. I'm going to loosen the clutch. This is not a lock. This is a clutch. It doesn't have to be super duper tight. And now I've opened a little port in there. I can take my green laser that I use to give people a tour of the sky when I'm doing outreach. I can take my green laser, point it up through the peephole or the polar tunnel, and it will shine a beam of light in the sky. Now, in some places, like our friends in Canada, can't do this, I believe. So obviously, you got to check your local or federal legislation to make sure you can do this. But the green laser makes it real easy. It'll just shine a beam out into the sky, and you can see exactly where it goes. Boy, I'm way off to the east of Polaris, and you can move the mount until you get it pointed at Polaris. Marcus, with just the camera not weighing much, is it more difficult to balance the mount? No, I'll show you how to do that here in just a second, Marcus. It's real simple. The nice thing about the Exos 100 is, if your balance is close, people are driven to think it has to be in perfect balance. I was using this with an ED80 the other day here and did it live on broadcast with no counterweights on it. The mount was able to control it and track it with no trouble. Balance is important, but you don't let little things get in the way of doing what you want to do. I have had people who have called me and said, oh, it's doing this and that. And I say, well, have you used the mount to find out if it affects anything? Well, no, because it's doing this and that. And I'll say, why haven't you used the mount? Well, I can't because of X. And I'll go, why don't you just go use the mount and see if X affects it? Well, I can't because X. And I'm going to say, just go use the mount. You may find out it doesn't do anything. So don't let the quest for perfection get in the way of going out and using the mount, right? Just go use it. So what if it's a little bit out of balance? These digital stepper motors have circuit boards on them. Those circuit boards are a defense mechanism for damage that could be caused by being way out of balance or even running into something. On the old servo motors, where like in previous mounts, you just apply power, they're running full torque, full power, and there's no way to modulate that. So when something runs into something, it either damages the telescope or camera, or it tears up the gears, starts chewing up the gear drive system. This won't do it because those digital stepper motors, when the preset torque limit that we can set in the app, and there's a way actually for you to change your torque limits within parameters, because using a thing called the Universal Configuration Tool, you can set those torque limits. If you need a little bit more torque applied, you can do that. This is a very robust, flexible, modern system that puts a lot of power in the user's hands. But out of the box, it just works. And so what you want to do is, that torque limit, what you want to do is, that torque limit, when it gets hit, the circuit goes, oh, the torque limit's reached, let go. And it turns off the magnet into the digital motor and then turns it back on. So it tries to push stop, tries to push stop, tries to push stop. It makes a chattering noise. It's going to lose its micro step count going to the item, to the target, but it's not going to damage anything. The worst thing you're going to have to do is electronically tell it to go left, right, up, and down to get back to the home position, unplug, start over, or hit reset alignment data and start over, right? It's going to know what's going on, and it'll take off and go back to its position. So I've shot a green laser up through here, or I've used a compass and a straight edge, and I've lined up my compass with true north. You have to know the difference where you live between magnetic north and true north, because
play the video?
Sure, let's play that beautiful magnetic beam video. You got it up close?
Yeah.
Go, run it.
Hey everybody, Kent Marks here from Sports Scientific. Today I'm going to teach you solar light telescope using a broom. Why do you need a polar light? Well, with a telescope that has an equatorial mount, you have to get that equatorial axis lined up with the rotation of the Earth. And to do that, we're going to start with the tripod. We're going to decide which one of these legs is going to point north, and we're going to set the tripod down so that leg is pointed north. First thing I'm going to do is use a level to make sure my tripod is level. So if it's tipped one side or the other, that's going to cause your polar alignment to not be accurate. So we're going to use a level for that purpose. Then we're going to take a compass, and just to make sure that I've got it pointed north, I'm going to use the compass, line up, and go, yep, that looks like it's pointed north. So here's what I'm going to do now. And this is where the broom comes in. The broom becomes a measurement device, if you will. So I'm going to put the broom on the ground with the tip of it right against the north leg of the tripod. And I'm going to back away, and I'm going to use the compass. I'm going to close one eye, and I'm going to use the compass to make sure that the broom is lined up with north, right? And so I can tell I'm off just a little bit. So I'm going to move the tripod just a little bit, and I'm going to turn the broom. And the broom is what I'm seeing that line with to line up. So closing one eye. Now my broom is lined up perfectly to magnetic north. Right here is we're going to talk about something called magnetic declination. The magnetic north is not true north. The difference between true north and magnetic north can be off by as much as 15 or 16 degrees if you live on the east coast or west coast of the United States. Around the world, it varies. And you have to figure out what that is for where you live. Because if you point at magnetic north, you're not going to be pointing at true north. You could be off by 15 degrees. Your go-to will never be accurate. So for this system to work, you have to know what that offset is and be able to program that into your compass. We're going to provide a link to a website and a video that talks about that a whole lot more. Now, we're going to make sure that the tripod is not angled wrong. I'm going to use a small tape measure, and we're simply going to come down here and be careful not to move the broom. And I'm going to measure the distance from the tripod leg to the center of the broom. That is 470 centimeters. That way, it is 470, a little, I'm going to call that good. Actually, I'm going to move the tripod a couple of millimeters, just like that. So now, we know that we're lined up true north with that leg, and these two legs are the equal distance from right here. So it's not pushed that way or that way. So now that we have the tripod with a good alignment to the north, we have to put the head on the mount. And that's going to entail this. We're going to be very careful when we do this because we don't want to move the tripod. We're going to put it on and simply screw on the polar head just like this. Remembering everything's going to the north. Now if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going to do the same thing. You can do the exact same in the southern hemisphere. Because it's not polar, it's polar alignment, we just don't use the star Polaris, which we're not using here. This is really good if you can't see Polaris, or if it's daytime and you want to do some solar viewing with a solar safe filter. So the last step of this process is to check the scale of your altitude, right? So we live at 36 degrees north, and I am going to turn the altitude until it gets to 36 degrees north. I'm going to stop, and that's it. With this system, using a broom, a compass, and a tape measure, you can achieve a good, decent starting polar alignment. Personally, I've used this, and I've got an amazingly close polar alignment. There's ways that you can use to refine your polar alignment, specifically drift alignment, but it all starts with a good polar alignment. You can do this in the daytime. You can do this in the nighttime if you can't see Polaris. It works all the time. It's a good way to get started learning the process of polar alignment. Isn't that great? I hope you've enjoyed this video. For Explore Scientific, I'm Kent Martz. Get out there and start doing astronomy. And keep looking up.
There it is.
Hey, let's try that. I didn't come back. I was here, but I was invisible. So there we go. All right, so while we're gone, Pekka Hautala from Sweden says, good afternoon, everyone from Stockholm. Here in Sweden, we celebrate midsummer today. I guess it's Friday. The solstice was the 21st, but you must have a Swedish holiday on the Friday afterwards or Monday before, depending on how it falls. So I hope you're enjoying your midsummer holiday. Sir?
Is it next? Oh, man, hang on. I'm losing today.
Is what next?
It's next week. It's the week after next, right?
What?
4th of July?
Yes, 4th of July is 2 Mondays from right now.
No.
In all cultures, the
it's that
4th of
far.
July is 2 Mondays from now.
Uh,
That's like the joke that says, do they have a July 4th in England? And people go, well, no. And it's like, huh, how do they go from July the 2nd or July the 3rd to July the 5th? Why would they skip? That's in America, think it's Independence Day, and, you know, in England, not so much.
No,
so
let's see here.
Bad joke. So, James
hang
Dugan
on.
from...
I think we're incorrect on something here. June, July. Yep, you're right.
Since I have Tuesday the 5th off for vacation, I knew it was Monday. All right, James Dugan, a friend from another city that starts with an S but is half a world away and in the other hemisphere. James Dugan from Sydney, Australia. Hello, James. Thank you for that great video. It's a technique that really works. I've used it most recently to do solar imaging. Solar imaging.
Stoller.
Stoller.
It's like a German bread, right?
Imaging. It might be a German what?
German bread.
Could be bread. I don't know.
Stolen bread.
Stolen bread.
German
I don't know.
bread.
Anyway, so
It's good.
Tyler Bowman and I held the compass. I told Tyler to rotate the mount counterclockwise. Clockwise. It was in a level parking lot, so we knew it was level if we rotated it. And I said stop. He executed with the tablet. In fact, this tablet right here. He executed a go-to the sun, and the sun was dead center. We had achieved a perfect polar alignment by eyeball. Sometimes I get lucky, and folks, I got lucky that day. In front of a crowd of, I don't know, half a dozen people watching, explaining what we were doing, and they were utterly amazed. I'll have people, you'll see people who can't make them out work. I think they are coming at it from a perspective of other systems and other things and just can't just come at it from a very open position. So we've now got our mount polar line. I'm going to unlock the clutch or loosen the clutch, and I'm going to tighten it back up now that I have it pointed, and we'll say I have it pointed directly at Polaris. I can see Polaris close to the center of the telescope in my eyepiece. One thing people don't consider sometimes is they just slap the telescope on here and think the telescope is pointed at the same point the mount is. If the mount's pointed at Polaris, but the telescope's pointed 3 degrees to the northeast, well, guess what? Your go-tos, every single go-to is going to be off by that much, right? So you can't ever get it right. It's not the mount's fault, it's the telescope's fault. And Explore Scientific telescopes, generally from the first light series on up, have a dovetail that allows you to actually change how the telescope points on the dovetail, and you can zero that out, that error between pointed directly at the north celestial pole or the south celestial pole and where the telescope's pointed. This is called cone error. And once you get the cone error out and both things are pointed at the same spot, now your go-tos are going to get more accurate. Pretty cool, something a lot of people don't think about. So here we go. I am going to close the mount down. Okay, I'm connected to PMC8 because I've been connected before. You have to enter a password the first time with each device. The password is super secret, but I'll share it with you right now here on Amazon Live. It's PMC-EIGHT. PMC and E are all uppercase. There you go. So I know I'm connected, so I'm going to launch Explore Stars, and I'm going to use what's called the virtual joystick. It looks like a compass rose. Of course, there it goes. And people will say, well, it's making that weird sound. What's going on with, I want to turn that music off. It's not music. It's just the sound of the motors and the belts and the gears and the circuit boards doing their thing. So we had a question about balancing with a camera on. I'm going to go through that real quick and show you how to do it. So I'm going to loosen the right ascension clutch. Obviously, we're super heavy in counterweight. Now, I always want to make it, this system, a little bit counterweight heavy and a little bit camera heavy. By camera, I mean this side of it. If it was a telescope, it'd be eyepiece heavy, not front lens heavy. So I've got it right perfectly balanced. I've done this enough. I know about where the balance is. And I'm going to call that good right there. So now we're going to stop it. I'm going to do it this way. A little bit easier for me on this side. Tighten the clutch. Now then, I'm going to loosen the declination clutch. And I'm going to see that it's lens heavy. So I am simply going to tighten the clutch a little bit. I'm going to loosen and be very careful here. The saddle plate screws. I'm going to be sure and hold on to everything. And I'm going to tighten them back down. Let's try it again. And still a little bit lens heavy. I'm going to back it up just a little bit more. And that's what's great about this camera adapter we developed. We couldn't find anything really on the market that allowed it to have this range of travel to be able to balance a camera. And you might be able to get it with a small lens but not a big lens. So we built this camera adapter, to be very long so you could easily balance everything. So now you see that it's a little camera heavy. That's enough. I'm not going to worry about it because it doesn't have to have perfect balance. I know that. And so here we go. Well, that one was a little bit loose, but I don't really care that much. So we're going to make sure this is right here. Now, there's a way you can do this electronically. I need to do that on one of these shows. To rotate it 90 degrees, level it literally with the level, and then rotate it back. And then you can mark with a little piece of tape across, cut the tape, and now you know where to put it to get it exactly perpendicular to ground. You can also do the same thing with the declination axis. We'll do a show on that one of these days. So here on Amazon Live, we do have a chat function. Feel free to give us a chat. We'll be excited to talk to you and give you some information on your question, observation, or whatever. So here we go. I've got my mount. Let's just, everything's connected up. I'm going to go to Catalog, Solar, Sun, Slew to. Now, if I have auto slew turned on, it takes off and goes to the sun. I like to have it turned off, mainly because if I'm going to do a 2 or 3 star alignment, when you hit the first alignment star, it just goes to it. That can frustrate a lot of people. It frustrated me. So I just turn off auto slew and just leave it off. Part of my routine is always slew to, go to, and off it goes. Now, we're going to slew to the sun just like that. It's going to count those micro steps. It knows exactly where it is in the sky. assuming you have your tripod level and you got a good polar alignment, right? And so there we go. We're tracking to the sun, and now the camera is turning in declination. The right ascension has stopped, and there we go. It's turning just a little bit, and there it stopped. And now we know that we're tracking the sun. Hey, Noah, there's been a box pop up over the chats that I can't see. Could you come hit that with a hammer or your index finger, one or the other? So there we go. And if I need to move it a little bit,
I suggest hammer.
Hammer. So if I need to move it a little bit, very easy to do. I'm just going to hit 3, and if I'm down here looking through the obviously I've got a safe solar filter on here because we're going to the sun. Never go to the sun without a safe solar filter. And I'm going to move my left, right, up, down buttons to simply adjust the mount. Now then, there's a sync button on here. I can simply tap the sync button, and I've told it that I am on the sun, and it's going to track that spot across the sky. Very powerful system right here. I don't know if, hey Noah, he's got his headphones on, Paul.
What you need, Ken?
There's a box over the chat that I can't see. So while we're talking about
chat
sun
right now, so you're good.
Okay. While we're talking about sun, let's talk about sun catchers. This is a sun catcher. It's a product from Explore Scientific that has solar safe film from Thousand Oaks that is perfectly fine to use for visual and for astrophotography. It's basically a gigantic mirror that simply reflects all the electronic energy away from the camera, letting in just enough so you can take a picture. It's got some coloration on it to make it a pleasing orangish yellow, depending on how your eye works. These come in a variety of sizes. You can pick out the size you need. If you don't know, feel free to chat us right now, or better, after the show, go to the Explore Scientific store here on Amazon Live. Click the Contact Seller button, and we'll be happy to ask what kind of size of telescope you have, the diameter of the dew shield, and we'll make a recommendation on what sun catcher you need to buy. How it works is it comes with these hard pieces of foam right here, right? So these hard pieces of foam, it also comes with 4 pieces of double-sided tape. When you get it, it comes assembled just like this. When you get it, you put a piece of double-sided tape on quadrants, and then you stick in the foam just like that. And as you can see, there's 4 pieces would go here. This one's been cut to fit a telescope, and just like that. So how I would do it is, I would put it on a table, get the foam in place, set the telescope down on top of it, having somebody hold it so it doesn't fall over, and then mark where the dew shield is, and then come back and cut inside of that mark, because you want to make sure, dead certain sure that this is going to have to go on when you put it on, it's going to go on and stay on. You want to have to force it on a little bit, because if it just slips on real easy, that means it can come off real easy. And if it can come off real easy, that's a bad thing. If you're looking through the telescope or your camera sensor's open, you're going to fry things really, really fast. That's not good. Sun catcher, a great way to do solar viewing with your eye, or with do astrophotography with it as well. Always goes on the front side of your device, just like your solar safe sunglasses go in front of your eyes. You'd never want to use a telescope looking at the sun unfiltered and then look through the telescope with solar glasses on, because that focused sunlight that's coming out is going to be like a laser. It will instantaneously burn through those glasses, and it'll be very, very bad.
31, Ken.
Very, very bad for your eyes. Yeah, Paul, I can see the time on the screen. Thank you. I just noticed that. So, have a chat function. We'd love to hear from you as well. So,
you want to show Scott's deal about the...
Nah, let's go on. I want to go to an ED80 real quick.
Well, you said you needed to bail out of here to go to...
So, that's...
I mean, we can put it on Scott, and you can say bye and...
Put it on Scott. I need to go about 2:45. Something like that.
Scott's video is 3:50.
Go ahead and run Scott, not putting his eye out. Here's Scott not putting his eye out.
So it's a beautiful sunny day, and we have our refractor out, and I've got my eclipse glasses on, and I've got my safe solar filter. Of course, the eclipse is not here yet, but I wanted to take a few minutes just to show you some things about solar filter safety. The filters that we use is the Thousand Oaks material. It is rated to the highest ISO standards. And actually independently tested by us as well. So just to make sure that those standards are met. So if you're going to use a telescope to look at the partial phases, and let me underline partial phases to you. You use eclipse glasses to observe the sun in partial phases when it's in total. If you're going to be on the path of totality, you can take the glasses off, and only during that time, which is going to be roughly 2 minutes this time on August 21st, only during that time can you directly look up at where the sun is, because it's completely blocked out. You'll see the corona, you'll see, lots of really cool effects they'll leave you speechless. But during all the partial phases, you have to have safe solar filtration. So how do you do it properly? Let me show you. First off, let's show you what you shouldn't do. What you shouldn't do is put on eclipse glasses and look through the telescope that's unfiltered. And I'll show you exactly why here. We're going to point the telescope directly at the sun. And right now, we have sunlight coming right through the eyepiece. I can turn that up a little bit. If you use solar glasses and look right at the filter material, you see it's already burning. It's burning a hole right through the solar filter material. That is how powerful a telescope is. So this is definitely something you don't want to do. You can now see that there is a hole through there, and that could be your eye. So this is what can happen if you think that you can use eclipse glasses to look through unfiltered telescopes or binoculars. If you do that, the sun's energy is going to burn right through the filter and burn right into your eye. So if you're going to use a telescope or a pair of binoculars to watch the partial phases of a total eclipse, or just to observe the sun to look for sunspots or something like that, make sure that you are using an over-the-lens solar filter that has the proper ISO safety rating and all of that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this filter on. It's you can see how snugly it's fitting here. This is not about to come off, but if you have a loose fitting filter, use tape. Do anything that you can to make sure that the filter is not going to come off. And then the other thing is that finder scopes, optical finder scopes are like little telescopes, and they need to be filtered as well. In this case, I just have a red dot finder. There is no magnifying power to it, so I'm not going to use it to sight the sun in. The way I'm going to sight in the sun is literally I'm going to look down at the shadow and align the scope up so I'm getting the smallest shadow possible of the telescope as it's hitting the ground. And now I can safely look at the sun in comfort and look at sunspots, and if we have partial phases going on in the eclipse, I'll see them all.
There you go.
And gee whiz, somebody last time we showed that said that's horrifying. Absolutely, that image of Scott with those glasses on his face where it's burned through just instantly, that is horrifying. While we were talking, James Dugan was talking about the sun catcher. The tighter the better. You don't want a gust of wind to blow it off, absolutely. Or a little kid to walk by and go, "What's this, Mommy?" and knock it off as well. Tighter the better, just in case you get a big gust of wind. You do not want it coming off. That's true. If your camera's there, okay, you might ruin your camera. But if you're looking through it, you're going to ruin your Mark 1R or Mark 1L. You only get two, and you can't replace either one of those. So I'm going to show you real quick how to hook up a camera. So you've got a telescope. You want to hook up a camera to it. Now this telescope is an Explore Scientific ED80. This is an Essential Series 80 millimeter aperture telescope right here. I've got the lens cap on. I'm not going to bother to take it off. It has a 2-inch focuser. It is more difficult to hook up a camera, a DSLR, to an 1.25 inch diagonal or an 1.25 inch telescope, easier to do with a 2-inch focuser. You simply are going to turn the telescope into a lens, just like this has a method of attaching a camera lens to the body called a bayonet mount. Same thing happens here. This is a bayonet mount. It looks just like what is on the EOS camera. This is like a barrel on a 2-inch eyepiece. You simply screw it on. The silver thing's called a T-ring. There's different styles. This one works with this camera. And now, as you can see, I have turned the camera into be able to attach to a telescope. I'm going to turn the telescope sideways a little bit so you can see what's going on here. And here we go. I have it way out of balance. I don't really care. Right here is where you put the diagonal, right? The 45-degree thing or the 90-degree thing where you can look through. We're simply going to insert the camera into it, and I'm going to tighten down the tension collar screws to make the tension collar grab onto it. And now our camera...
We need to find the batteries for that.
And
We need to find the batteries for that camera.
They're in that box over there.
I didn't see them.
Yeah, they're in there. They're buried under that red rag, I think. So now, you know, let's see, check balance, close enough. I know about where this is going to be. Now I'm going to show you, we talked about balance and not having to be perfect. I'm going to show you this. This telescope is nowhere, it's extremely out of balance, right? Look at that, out of balance. But guess what? I'm going to predict that the iXOS 100 doesn't really care too much about that.
It doesn't really care that much about it, no.
Here we go.
But I used this one weekend, and there were times, because I didn't balance it correctly, there were times that it did stop, but it didn't do any damage to the mount because it's made for that.
Right, because you went out without a third counterweight.
Yeah.
So if you're going to put a larger telescope on here, you have to order a third counterweight. We've got them in stock, and we've even got more coming. You know, more and more people. This was designed to be used with a camera and lens and a very small telescope. People embraced it. JR, who may be out there lurking, JR lives in Louisiana. He does planetary, and he uses a MacCaz 180 millimeter telescope running at 5,000 and 6,000 millimeter focal length once he gets his 3x or 5x Barlows or focal extenders on there. Astounding focal length. He's running on an iXOS 100. He has, drum roll please, 24 pounds of camera and telescope, running 18 pounds of counterweights. So the mount can handle it. We rate it for 9 pounds for astrophotography, 16 pounds for visual. You know, your mileage may vary. Balance becomes the key on things like that and managing your balance. So I now have attached a camera. I can focus it just like I want to do it. Now I'll be very technical here. The telescope comes right here where the focuser ends. There's a tube right here. It comes with 2 of those things called extension tubes. One of them is required for visual, 2 for astrophotography, maybe 3, sometimes even 4. But as you can see, I've got 1 here. If I was going to really do astrophotography, I would have the second one here because I know that will work with this device. So you can see it went to the sun, no problem. Let's go to something else. Let's go to a Messier object. What's a Messier object? I hear somebody say. Charles Messier, French guy back in the 1700s, court astronomer for the French court royalty. Looking for comets, start a list of things that weren't comets, and now they are among the beginning things people learn in astronomy when they're doing visual astronomy. Here we go. SLU 2, go to, we're going to M3, which is in Coma Berenices. It is a cluster of stars, and here we go. Messier 3, it's going to do a full rotation, and it's going to point up to the north. It went from pointing almost overhead to, there we go, pointing, going to be just about due north. The Coma Berenices is a circumpolar constellation in the northern hemisphere. And so it's going to slew over to it and find it, and then it will track it across the sky. If you've got a good polar alignment, it's simply going to track it across the sky as it rotates from east to west. And
so here's an image that I took with this
rig
exact telescope with an A7 III, a Sony A7 III.
And this exact mount.
And the exact mount, and but I had my own pad. But they're no different.
Tablets, yeah. Here we go. Let's see it. Going to take a second to pop up on my screen over here. There we go. Very nice, Paul. And that's one image. That's not stacked.
Correct.
That's one single exposure. Do you remember the metadata? The exposure and all?
I can find out.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So that's a single exposure.
About half a minute to boot
had,
the program.
had Paul taken 3 or 4 and stacked those up,
I can still do that.
he would have much greater detail thanks to the signal-to-noise ratio.
You want me to stack one real quick?
Do you have multiple exposures that
Yeah,
will
I
stack?
took a bunch of pictures of them.
Yeah, we don't have time. I got to go. It's 2:43. So he has that rotated roughly 90 degrees too far around.
Yeah, I did that.
But that's okay. It's, doesn't matter. It's a pretty picture. And taken with this very telescope, that extension tube, those counterweights, this mount, and nice picture, And Paul is not an astrophotographer.
But I am a master photographer.
He is an astrophotographer now because he's taking astrophotography.
Whatever.
No, seriously, you've.
I'm a master photographer.
He's a master photographer, but a mastering astrophotography. He's not hadn't done the stacking and long term 2 hours of exposures and stacking things up. So
it was really cloudy that night.
Yeah.
As well.
So Paul, I gotta go. I've got to get out of here. If you have any comments, give them to me real quick, and any howdies or whatever. I've got to get out of the studio. I've got some engagement this afternoon that I've got to go to. I appreciate everyone's time, and
he has games.
You have some baseball games to go umpire. Going to go out in the heat and try not to get hit by too many baseballs. It's going to be a long weekend of baseball. The last baseball games of summer here. Might be a couple more later on. So anyway,
look here.
I appreciate your time. He's going to stack it live.
I can.
What are you going to use? Manually stack it?
I can use Lightroom.
You're manually stacking it. You can't tell it to stack it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I do this and photo merge and HDR.
So technically not a stack, but very close to it.
It's a stack.
You're making an HDR of it, right?
So it's a low. The red part. Okay, so you see here, the red part is telling me what it's ghosting. No, that's good. Watch. Give it a second, and we'll put it on the desktop. Save. And watching up here, it's almost done. And, oh no, can't create the stack. Probably because the moon is in the clouds right here.
Yeah, it's the clouds. It's a little bit fuzzy, so it's not going to create a stack.
Correct.
You can't merge them. Yeah. So, yeah, shooting between clouds creates problems, most assuredly. All right, so we're going to sign off. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for blessing us with the gift of your time. I hope you learned something today. I love teaching about this stuff. And, if you haven't clicked the follow button here on Amazon Live, do so you can come back to our content. That is, if we've earned your desire to have us back in your lives here on Amazon Live. Again, we thank you for your time. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll be back here Monday at 2 o'clock Central Time with, what'll it be? Monday is How Do You Know Monday, and I think Dr. Daniel Barth will be in the studio with us.
So this one,
always a good time. Say again?
What was this that I took a picture of?
Mizar and Alcor, I think is what it was.
This is east.
It's east, and it's not Mizar and Alcor then. Is it a double star?
No. It's
Arcturus? Vega.
Vega.
It's Vega.
Yeah, it's Vega.
Bright
It's the
blue.
brightest thing in the east.
Bright blue. It's Vega. Brightest thing and part of the summer triangle rising. So
You notice I got star trails, though, because I didn't have it exactly polar aligned because I was on a steep hill.
that happens. And trees in the way and all sorts of stuff
Oh, yeah.
sometimes. All right, so goodbye, everybody. See you Monday. Have a great weekend. Again, for Paul, not again, but for Paul Newton over in the control room and Marketplace, Noah Menard. Give everybody a wave, Noah. There's a wave from Noah. It'll look like this if you're looking at him. That's what he waved. Thank you, Noah,
Can
for
you
the,
get on to me
for
for
the
making bad
wave.
jokes?
And everybody else here at Explore Scientific, I'm Kent Martz. Enjoy the weekend. See y'all on Monday. Bye-bye.